"Get off my water or I'm calling the cops right now," she shrieked from the shore, her voice echoing like a bad neighborhood watch siren across the glassy lake that had been my family's for generations. I froze mid-cast, line dangling uselessly, staring at this HOA busybody in her power blazer, flapping papers like they were holy writ, as if my quiet fishing session was the crime of the century. Little did she know, her fake outrage was about to unravel a web of theft, lies, and corruption that would sink her deeper than any anchor I could drop. I was out there on Serenity Pond, our family's 10-acre gem in the heart of Willow Creek subdivision. A place that looked like suburban paradise on the surface, neat lawns, white picket fences, kids on bikes, but underneath, it was a pressure cooker of petty rules and power trips enforced by the Whispering Willows Homeowners Association. The HOA, led by the infamous Patricia "Patty" Hargrove, had turned the neighborhood into her personal fiefdom, where even hanging a bird feeder could earn you a fine for attracting unauthorized wildlife. Me, a Marcus Reed, a retired civil engineer who'd spent 30 years building bridges and dams, only to come home to this nonsense. I'd heard the whispers about me since I moved back full-time 6 months ago. That guy's shady, probably up to no good on that pond. Rumors spread like wildfire at the monthly HOA meetings. Claims I was polluting the water with my reckless boating, or scaring off the ducks that the association deemed community assets. I kept my head down, smiled politely at the block parties, but inside, I was cataloging every absurdity, every overreach, waiting for the right moment. The pond had been low for months, down about 5 inches, which my engineers I pegged at around 40,000 gallons missing, not from drought, mind you, but something fishier. Weather apps confirmed normal rainfall, so where was the water going? I was pondering that, rod in hand, when the crunch of gravel announced trouble. Patty Hargrove stormed down the path, her sensible loafers kicking up dust, flanked by 2 burly guys in polo shirts embroidered with HOA compliance team, which was code for her personal muscle, clipboard-wielding enforcers who looked like they'd flunked out of mall security school. Her face was beet red, lips pursed in that signature mix of moral superiority and barely contained hysteria. "Mr. Reed, cease this activity immediately," she bellowed, her voice cracking the afternoon calm like a cheap firecracker. I paddled closer, keeping my cool. "Patty, what's the issue? This is my pond. Families owned it since '58. She thrust a sheaf of papers at me, freshly printed from her home office laser. No doubt. New bylaws, effective immediately. Recreational water use is prohibited due to potential interference with communal drainage systems. It's for the greater good, safety first." Her eyes darted to the water level stakes I'd installed, a flicker of nerves betraying the bluster. I chuckled inwardly. Communal drainage? This woman treated the neighborhood like her kingdom, quoting standards like gospel while ignoring basics like common sense. "Patty, those markers are on my side of the line. See the survey posts? Solid as rock." She straightened her blazer, which probably cost more than my kayak. "That requires official verification, Mr. Reed. Your activities are disrupting the aesthetic harmony of the subdivision." Aesthetic harmony? I bit back a laugh, this from the lady who'd find Mrs. Jenkins $200 for a garden gnome deemed too whimsical. But as she yanked out her phone, dialing with theatrical jabs, my brain kicked into gear. I'd noticed the HOA's sprinkler system lately, overkill for a few lawns, with industrial hoses snaking toward the pond's edge. Peering closer from the water, I spotted them, thick intake pipes, camouflaged under reeds, sucking straight from my pond. Bingo. She wasn't yelling about safety. She was panicking because I might spot her little siphon operation. 911? Yes. This is Patricia Hargrove, HOA president. There's a man trespassing on critical infrastructure, refusing to comply, trespassing on my own pond. The irony burned like bad coffee. 20 minutes later, a sheriff's deputy rolled up, lights off, looking as thrilled as a man summoned to a cat fight. Deputy Mike Harlan, a no-nonsense vet who'd dealt with HOA squabbles before, stepped out with a sigh. Patty launched into her tirade. "Officer, this individual is endangering public welfare. Look at him, flouting regulations like some rebel." Her goons nodded like bobbleheads, clipboards at the ready. I docked calmly, pulled out my laminated deed, Grandpa's original from when he bought the land, and handed it over. "Afternoon, Deputy." Marcus Reed. "Here's the proof." He scanned it, eyed Patty's flimsy printout, and rubbed his temple. "Ma'am, this deed's ironclad. Private property. No violation I can see." Patty's face went from red to purple. "But the drainage, it's vital for emergencies." Harlan raised an eyebrow. "What emergencies?" "Exactly," she stammered. "Well, potential ones, future floods, or droughts." He snapped his notebook shut. "Mr. Reed, fish away. Ma'am, save the calls for real issues." As he drove off, Patty huddled with her minions, whispering furiously, pointing at the pond like it owed her money. I snapped photos of the pipes, the low water marks, evidence stacking up. This wasn't petty. Stealing water from a private source tied to the local aquifer? That's felony territory, especially in drought-prone California. Wait. No, this was Midwest suburbia, but same rules applied. Grandpa Elias Reed had surveyed this pond himself, using his old brass level to map the flows. It wasn't just water. It recharged the whole township's wells. Stealing it jeopardized everyone. That evening, as the sun dipped, I felt that brass level in my pocket, heavy with history. Patty thought she could bully me like the other neighbors she'd cowed with fines for unsightly mailboxes, but she had no idea she'd poked a bear with blueprints. The next day, my mailbox was stuffed with HOA love letters, a $4,000 fine for environmental disturbance, a cease and desist on hazardous leisure pursuits, and a 48-hour notice for a mandatory compliance audit. All predated her lakeside meltdown, premeditated harassment. I smirked. Classic overreach. Like when she banned holiday lights for energy inefficiency. I grabbed my toolkit and headed to the shore. Those pipes? Prograde, with flow gauges humming softly. Tracing them, I found a hidden pump house behind HOA hedges, labeled Willow Water Solutions, Patty's side hustle, billing the association for premium irrigation sourced from. Yep, my pond. My phone pinged. "Mr. Reed, this is Todd from EcoGuard Inspections. Audit at 10 a.m. tomorrow." A quick Google. EcoGuard was a fresh LLC. Patty listed as owner. They weren't inspecting. They were covering tracks. I called my old colleague, attorney Lena Torres, a sharp environmental law shark. "Lena, got a doozy. HOA's siphoning my pond, slapping fines to shut me up." She whistled. "Marcus, that's water theft. RICO potential if it's organized." She advised, "Document. Don't engage." She was en route. While waiting, I dug into finances. HOA dues had skyrocketed, Landscaping budget quadrupled. Willow water raked in $200,000 yearly from stolen H2O. Power bills? Spiked at night. Perfect for covert pumping. Math. 1,200 gallons daily. $1,500 monthly value. 5 years, over $90,000 pilfered. Lena arrived with investigative journalist Kyle Benson, who'd been sniffing HOA scandals. "This is bigger," Lena said, poring over my photos. "Fraud, theft, racketeering." Kyle nodded. "I've got tips from 6 neighbors. Ponds drying up near Hargrove HOAs. That night, attic raid, Grandpa's files, surveys, a folder, Hargrove disputes, letters from 1985, Patty's dad trying to buy water rights, Grandpa refusing. Read. We'll remember this," one snarled. Grandpa's notes mapped aquifer flows. Our pond fed thousands. Patty was reviving a grudge, monetizing it. "Marcus. Jackpot," Lena said next morning. Her empires on pilfered water, every buck tainted. We met ex-HOA assistant Carla Ruiz, who quit over shady deals. Boxes of ledgers. Patty's shells sold 1.8 million gallons to factories needing pure water, netting $2.5 million. One shell? Read Pond Resources. Using my name. Clients? Chem plants dumping waste back into tributaries, contaminating the aquifer she stole from. Poisoning for profit. Carla added. Bribes to 7 officials. Inspectors turning blind eyes. Victims. 20 direct. 8,000 indirect sipping tainted tap. War room mode. Hydrologist Dr. Alan Pierce confirmed damage using Grandpa's maps. Sister-in-law Mia Reed. Finance whiz. Traced funds to Bahamas international crime. FBI bait. The hearing. Courthouse circus. Media swarming. Patty waltzed in with high-roller lawyers, but sweat beaded when she spotted feds. Judge Elena Vargas, ecocrime hammer, presided. Dr. Pierce. Hargrove's theft compromised federal protected water, endangering thousands. Mia. Exhibit 3. Fund flows. Delaware shells to offshore havens. Stories in the arrows. Silence. Carla. Played tapes of Patty bragging. Expand before feds sniff it. Me with Grandpa's level. Judge. My grandpa built this system for posterity. Hargrove twisted it into toxin trade. Defense crumbled. Vargas snarled. This ain't gray area. It's mobster moves. TRO granted. Assets frozen. $4 million bail. Passport gone. Feds cuffed her. Lawyers bolted. 6 months on pond full. Pumps smashed. Patty, 20 years federal. For $0.2 million restitution. Judge dubbed it trust treason. Her mansion auctioned. I snagged it for $32,000. Year's theft value. Irony? Sweet. Remediation fixed the mess. Grandpa's work inspired anti-theft laws. Then, DOC van arrives. Patty in orange. Bucket in hand. Community service scrubbing her pump scars from my shore. I fished, watching her kneel in muck. Eyes met. Defeat. Grudging nod. She picked wrong. Engineer with patience and proof. Van left. She to prison for decades. Grandpa's level pointed true, outlasting her scam. Now, after this tale of stolen splashes and sweet justice, do you think Patty's 20-year sentence was justified for poisoning a community? Or was the multimillion restitution punishment enough, letting her walk free?